Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Polygon Live from GDC 2014. We are here with a very special game called Hyper Light Drifter, and we are joined by Alex and Teddy, who are here to show the game. They're from Heart Machine, and thank you for joining us because I'm very excited to see more of this game.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I saw this game in person for the first time at an event a couple nights ago and was pretty much blown away. Just art style and obviously a lot of gameplay mechanics that I think I just wanted to dive in more into, and thankfully we have a little bit of time here, and we're just going to play some, and I'm going to ask you questions, and you're going to show me how awesome you are at your own game.
Not that awesome.
Not that awesome.
Sometimes not.
Yeah. So for people that aren't aware, what's sort of the basic concept behind this game?
It's a 2D action RPG. Obviously, it's overhead. It's in the vein of Link to the Past, mixed with a little bit of Diablo stuff, but basically you're doing a lot of exploring and collecting and killing. Those are the bullet points of it.
Those are good staples, I think. In video game history, we've always stood on those staples.
It's the baseline.
Sure. So let's, just start jumping in and checking it out. Obviously, you're using pixel-style artwork.
Yeah,
but
low resolution.
Low resolution, but it still has a very unique style to it. It doesn't really look like SNES necessarily. It's sort of its own thing.
Yeah, the style itself was something that I developed over a long time, and a lot of failure and a lot of success in certain areas. And it was originally going to be an illustrated, fully illustrated 1080p game, but that seemed ridiculous for a one-man team to do that. And I just started doing pixel art, and I was like, all right, this can fit as long as I can have color. Color and depth, super important things. So
specifically with depth, what are you using here that really achieves that level?
Well, it's all about lighting to achieve depth. So if certain surfaces have to convey the sense that, oh, I'm a wall, and if you're a floor, you have to convey that sense with a lighter color as well, and gradients help as well.
Sure.
Shadows are a big thing. Don't forget shadows. That guy has a shadow.
Yes, he does.
He's gonna kill you if you go under his shadow.
Yeah, he seems awful. He's not very nice.
He's not. He's kind of a dick.
Yeah. I know you guys have spent a lot of time with creating a lore around this game. It's set in its own very deep world. What is sort of the basic storyline here?
The basic premise of the game, I try not to get too deep into story stuff because I want to keep it a surprise. I want people to experience it on their own. But the basic premise is you're in a ruined world. Society is kind of on its last legs, and you play the role of a drifter, and you're seeking out lost technology and resources in order to help maintain the denizens of this ruined land. And it's a savage world that wants to murder you at any opportunity it gets.
So we're in sort of an arena style setup here. You're just trying to survive for as long as you can. What are some of the tools? We're seeing some ranged attacks here, some melee attacks. What do you have at your disposal?
Yeah, you have range, you have melee. Right now he's using it's kind of a boomerang-esque weapon that you throw out and cut through multiple enemies, and you can retrieve it. I'm using a railgun and getting smashed by a guy. I died. It's a brutal game. It's a very brutal game. You have about 5 health, and that doesn't last very long if you're not good, so it's all about skill. But we're trying to do something with the weapons where it's not your standard machine gun, SMG pistol setup. We have things that are like that, so you can understand how they might function, but we're trying to do something a little more unique with how they actually look and feel in the world.
Are they set? Is there an upgrade system? How does that sort of, is there customization on that front?
Yeah, there's going to be skills that you can upgrade. You can upgrade the items that you get, the weapons and items that you get throughout the world. So there is a more focused upgrade system. We don't have stat sheets and all that we're going into because we want an elegant and simple design as much as possible for an action RPG. So it's much more focused, but there is definitely a lot of progression to be had, and you can have a build of your character that'd be different than somebody else, basically.
Sure. Structurally, how does sort of progressing through the game work? Is it an open world? Is it more linear dungeons? What's the structure of it?
We're keeping it really open.
Okay.
We're not fans of gating things with arbitrary items or anything like that. We are gating with skill, so if you're not good enough to get past something, maybe you'll want to get an upgrade to be better at that. If you're good enough, you can get through the whole game, ideally, with just your beginning set with sword and whatever else, but it'd be pretty fucking hard.
Yeah.
So there is an object. There is something like propelling you from one area to the next, essentially.
Yeah, the story moments are propelling you, and the things that you're collecting in the world will guide you and be like, oh, I should probably go there to get this kind of a thing, because there's very specific regions in the world, and you'll figure out like, oh, I need to get this item in the water shelf because that seems like it relate to that area.
But it's not gear gating necessarily.
No, not gear gating at all. Don't think it's something like Metroid or anything. We would have that stuff in a way possibly for sections that don't necessarily matter, or like bonus areas or stuff that you want to do as a one-off. But as the primary story goes, we're not gating any of that off.
Yeah,
it's all about skill.
And we try to keep things like the quests, the areas that you encounter, the stories of those places are really encapsulated so that you can do it in whatever order you want. You encounter a world. You encounter a part of the world, and you can interact with them and do whatever's going on there. You don't have to go and do something else first.
Sure. How long have you been working on the game? When did you start development?
I started development late in 2013 by myself, and then Bo Blythe, the guy who made Samurai Gun, joined in about February of last year, and we worked for a bunch of months and then launched the Kickstarter, and then Teddy and Casey joined the team, so we're about 4 dudes right now. And we have a couple of freelancers working on it as well.
It feels like it's much further along than that.
I mean, Bo's really good at what he does. Teddy's really good at what he does. I think we have a very skilled team, and I'm about to die here. And this TV's dark, so I don't think we have any energy left, so I might just die. Yeah, it's, we like to iterate on things and make sure stuff has polish, especially if we're going to show it to people.
Sure.
Like it pains me to see things that are broken in it.
Yeah.
And there's still things that are always going to be broken in it. So putting on a public face, for me, it's very important to have as refined product as possible.
Well, and we jumped in really hard and fast. I mean, after the Kickstarter, like we had like we were happy about it, and I think we celebrated a little bit. Like we really want to just get going, start making it, like prove everything that we had talked about. Because it's really important to us to give everybody what they backed and what Alex has always wanted to make.
Yeah. Is there another area that we could maybe check out, or is this?
Yeah,
maybe. Just trying to mix it up a little bit so people know sort of the range of what they're looking at.
Well, we have a whole section that we were demoing kind of privately.
Okay.
But we could. Oh God, I'm gonna die now.
Oh gosh.
I'll play.
Oh boy. There we go.
I'll play escort mission and protect you while you think about it.
I think that's a safe bet.
Do you want to play?
Yes.
Okay.
I definitely do. Okay.
I'll back you up.
Thank you. Okay, so let me remind myself on the controls. We got ranged and, oh gosh.
Yeah, you've got an energy pool.
Okay.
Y and B moves use that energy, right?
Sweet.
And you've got
Rocking some cacti.
Yeah, those are just some dummies.
Yeah. Sweet. Okay, I'm confident. Not really confident at all.
You may die.
Yes, I think
you will
that's
definitely
probably
die.
And so obviously we're seeing co-op, drop in, drop out co-op for the whole game.
Yep, including the campaign.
Awesome.
It's just 2 players for now.
Yeah.
We might do 4 players if it's not crazy for challenge stuff. Yeah, not for the campaign itself, but for challenge stuff like this.
32 player local.
Yeah, 32, 64 player if online.
Online, sure.
Yeah.
Prestiging.
Yeah,
level
there's lots
50,
of prestiging. We actually
gold
do have
camo.
some. We do have some.
We do have prestiging.
Yeah,
actually.
you can prestige the weapons.
Really? Wow. Is that why? That's awesome.
If we do well enough right now, I'll prestige my boomerang.
Yeah, he's gonna prestige the hell out of it. So again, there are I think interesting ways to show progression and that satisfaction, because I love progressing, but leveling up in our game isn't in the traditional like I'm going to get a bunch of numbers and I'm going to be stronger now because of that, because all the enemies will always be dangerous.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like just doing, that's sort of the Zelda typical thing, right? Where the upgrades that you're getting are always visually represented. You're always seeing like why you're more powerful rather than it just being like,
oh look, I prestiged.
Right,
hey, look at that.
So you see it's gold now.
Gold in the weapon.
I've got sort of 1 power shot with it.
oh, sweet.
It's my limit break.
Yeah, and you get a power boost every time you prestige.
Oh, awesome.
And you can prestige thousands of times if you really want to. So yeah, in the line of Zelda, and even you can think of this more as opposed to like a Dark Souls, like a Spelunky, the way that you're progressing, where you can get a ton of energy if you're really good at it, or you can get all these weapons and items and upgrades if you're really good at it. Except this is a little more traditional RPG-ish. But,
Yeah.
you know, there's not a lot of numbers and stats flying on the screen.
Right.
That was kind of a goal in the beginning, but it didn't make any sense when we had started to really analyze it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no number inflation.
Yeah, it's a much more focused experience.
Sure. I totally get what you mean in terms of statistical differences versus visual differences.
Right.
More impactful, definitely.
Very impactful.
Is there a loot aspect? I know you mentioned Diablo. Is there anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, again, one of the primary things you're doing is collecting stuff. You're
Right.
collecting lost tech and resources, so that you will absolutely be getting stuff.
Yeah.
And you'll be getting new weapons throughout. You know, it's not heavy loot like Diablo
Sure.
style where every enemy is dropping loot. In fact, no enemies are actually dropping loot except for maybe a specific few here and there. But you're definitely going deep underground and collecting things, including weaponry, including items for the world and all
Yeah,
that.
and if you're collecting a bunch of stuff, it's for a good reason. It's not like, hey man, I need 72 feathers because my dog's hungry.
Or I need, like, you know, some shitty leather boots that you're never going to use, and then 500 more pairs of shitty leather boots that you're never going to use.
Yeah.
You don't sell anything.
Sell fodder, exactly.
Yeah, no, everything that you're collecting in the game needs to be meaningful.
What is this large cube?
Oh, that was me. That's the hammer.
Oh, sweet.
It's one of the more.
It's less
weapon.
refined right now. It's
Yeah.
not. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff in here, not the final look, but
Yeah.
it smashes the hell out of things, basically.
Yeah. It seemed like. Are you still working on the animation? Like the animation seems so final right now.
There's portions of it that are very fluid and very near final, but there's plenty of stuff that's, you know, going to get more refinement as we go.
Do you have a sense as to like how long you think the scope of development will take?
We have a sense, but you know, we want to leave it open ended and
Sure.
say whenever it's done, it's done. We have a goal of end of the year,
Yeah.
Potentially, but you know, if we don't make that, that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We have like these dual goals, I think, of like one, making sure it's the game that we want to make,
Right.
and shipping when it's done, and also making sure we have our shit together, like making sure that like we're not just messing around and like we're very mindful of like what do we want to get done now, what do we want to get done now, like,
Yeah.
where are we?
Scope is a very important component of the project, and saying like what can we realistically do with the finances that we have,
Yeah.
and how much of the ideas that we love can we actually put into the end game, and also can we deliver, like when can we deliver this game in a timely manner? So it's a constant battle between all of those components.
Yeah. You don't want to show me another level.
Uh,
It's okay, but I don't want to put you on the spot or anything. I just wanted to let the people at home like see a little more variety, but it's cool if.
We'll be showing more soon,
Okay.
real soon.
Real soon, as in
Real
PAX,
soon,
maybe,
real soon is
or afterwards.
probably right around there.
Right around there in that
Yeah.
general vicinity. Okay, that's
Yeah.
acceptable. And in terms of platforms, you guys are looking at Xbox One.
Yeah,
I
that
know
just
you
got announced yesterday.
Just announced with ID at Xbox. That's exciting. And where else are you looking?
As many as possible. We have PS4, PS4, Vita, Wii U, and then PC.
That seems
and
like
then we're even doing Ouya also.
that seems a little crazy to me.
Seems a little
because
crazy, right?
Everything that I've heard from indies is that like that's the killer, is like porting and like going through the search process for every. So
Well, you saw the announcement today on for Game Maker.
Game Maker, that's a huge deal. You guys are made in Game
That's why
Maker,
we can do that.
And it just that made it so much easier.
Initially, you know, doing the Kickstarter, I had spent a long time researching and like porting houses and all that, because it costs a lot of money. It costs like $100,000 to port to a platform.
Yeah.
But Game Maker has made it very, very easy for us to be like, yep, we can put it on this platform now.
Yeah, the Vlambeer guys were saying the same thing. Like they've been using Game Maker for years, and now suddenly they don't have to spend a year on loot browsers.
They're getting their shit together.
Yeah.
There's a growing
Game Maker.
number of indies that are using Game Maker, and Game Maker's been incredible about building relationships with all of us and being really receptive to anything from our high-level goals like platforms to low-level stuff like Bo and I will be coding something and be like, man, can you guys make this work? And then the update next week has that in it.
Like, all right. Yeah, and I got a few comments yesterday when the Xbox announcement came out. They're like, oh, so now you're going to be on the TI-83 as well, right? And it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, as many as we can be on. But,
Damn straight.
But
That's
honestly,
Star Wars.
yeah, I understand the worry behind like spreading yourself thin, but honestly, we're not at this point. Before, when we were heavily considering like halfway through the Kickstarter or near the end of it, it was like, I'd need $100,000 to put this on Wii U. But now it's like, well, if everything is going to be relatively easy to put it on, it's not a big deal anymore.
Yeah.
And we've been very focused too. Like we talked early on with the friends of ours from Supergiant, like Amir and Greg and stuff, and they when they did Bastion, they focused on their primary platform first. So
Yep.
let's get the game playing right. We don't want to get too lost in building the dev kits every day, like different dev kits, and making sure it's, like, let's make the game first. And we're doing all of the conversations and making sure the platforms are prepared for when we're ready to do that.
Yeah.
But most of our day-to-day, we would like to spend on the quality of the game and the experience first.
And our focus is PC first.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're releasing that, and then comes all the consoles and everything
That
else.
seems contrary to the whole launch parity thing, though.
Not for
That's
them.
okay?
Yeah, PC, they don't give a shit.
Oh, okay, cool.
They're
Just
like,
not,
they're like
not
whatever.
other consoles.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, got
Console
it.
versus console, there's
Yeah.
it's kind of a quagmire.
Hairiness, yeah.
Yeah.
Understood. Well, that's great. I mean, the game looks awesome. What I saw the other day was awesome. I want to just like experience more of this world.
I would love. We want to show as much as possible,
Yeah.
but also we have to keep the experience under wraps
Right.
to a point
Yeah.
because
Let's
it's
throw out some roly-polies.
yeah. Oh, I don't have it. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Those are
Yeah, I wanna-
enemy-seeking explosives.
Let's see pro. I won't even.
Get him!
Oh, those are awesome.
These will destroy entire mobs.
And those just follow mobs
yeah,
around, a
they're
little homing
heat-seeking.
action.
They're a little wonky right now, but
don't
they were
have
too
it.
they were too powerful before.
Okay.
When you prestige it up high enough, you can get an army of them. They'll just follow you if there's no enemies on screen.
Yeah, you could
so
have
can-
hundreds of them if you're
And
good enough.
And you were saying you essentially spend those prestiges on like super powered versions of them.
Basically, it's sort of like a limit break system. Like the weapon gets some power every time you kill an enemy with it.
Yeah.
And after a certain amount, it prestiges. And each time it prestiges, your prestige value, your score goes up.
Okay.
And you get that many free shots.
Oh, I see.
So with something like a roly-poly,
Yeah.
if I'm at like level prestige 100, because
Yeah.
I've been playing for a while, I mean, we don't like to encourage grinding, but you can be trailing 100 of them.
That's awesome.
So you could. There's some management there as
Yeah.
far as like overpoweredness that we're gonna have to
Right.
take into consideration,
Of course.
but it's a fun. I think it's a fun upgrading system that's very simple and surface.
Yeah, we're mindful of balance, but if you want to overpower in the long game, that's okay. Like
Yeah,
it's
you-
fun to overpower yourself if you want to put the time in, but you don't have to. Like Alex said, if you just want to play with your sword and your dash, you could do a playthrough with just that.
And there's also consideration of saying, if you die, then you lose prestige. So
Harsh.
yeah, it's a harsh world.
That's indie games. They're harsh, man.
It's a brutal
Punishment.
genre.
It's the life of making it, so it's the life of playing.
It is. Dark days indeed. Thank you so much for coming over, guys, and showing the game. This looks super slick.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're again looking forward to seeing more in the near future. So appreciate it, and thanks for watching Polygon Live here at GDC 2014. We'll be here all week with tons of awesome games like Hyper Light Drifter.
Bye.